Ebomane genti ayekene unu ọzọ n'ụbọchị uhuruchi nke taa. Anyị si nke onye chiri ya zelu, anyị si n'ụbọchị nke taa dịrị n'ala Igbo na mma. Na ya dịkwa ka echi na echi ada agwụ agwụ. Otu anyị kwuru otu akọ ya dịrịrị. Ise, ise, ise. N'ụbọchị nke taa anyị wetara unu ozi gbasata maka ebe ife na-eme n'obodo anyị nọ n'ime ya dịka anyị si kwuo unu nkwa. Unu na anyị n'ebe akwụkwọ. Onye na afụ n'akwụkwọ bụ Honorable Obi Aguocha nke o si from Umuahia. Ụmụ ya na-ekwu maka ya, ọ na-represent Umuahia North na House of Assembly. Alright, ihe a bụ interview e mere ya na Rise News ka e wetara n'ụbọchị nke taa. Pastor maka ya bụ Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S bụ onye ndu nke IPOB, bụ the leader of Indigenous People of Biafra. Gee ntị ka ife Aguocha kwuo his experience and after meeting with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S. Achọrọ m ka ige ya bụ ife. Igesi ya bụ ife. Anyị chọkwuru react ya in comment section. Ifu nghọta and ifu nche n'udo nke unu gbasata maka ife niile nwanne nwoke bụ Aguocha kwuru n'iru akwụkwọ. All right, over to you, sir.
Mr. Kanu regain his freedom from rallying dozens of politically middle-of-the-road federal lawmakers across party and ethnic lines to writing to President Tinubu and calling for Mr. Kanu's urgent release. And now, after yet another intervention by him, Mr. Kanu's legal team have conducted their first successful visitation with their client since September. That small victory captures the difficulties faced by both Mr. Aguocha and Nnamdi Kanu's legal team in trying to create a pathway to Mr. Kanu's freedom, even as many across Nigeria express dismay, incomprehension, and anger at his continued incarceration. So, amid all the upset, where do things stand at the moment in that campaign, as a stony-faced government continues to rebuff all entreaties to set the captive free? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the member of the National Assembly representing the Umuahia Federal Constituency, Honorable Obi Aguocha. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you, Charles. I'm happy to be back here again.
Well, it's good to see you again.
Thank you, sir.
So this is a small victory, isn't it? But it is certainly a victory of sorts, getting Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers, who haven't visited him since September. To gain access to him. And they issued a statement thanking you and commending you for your effort in that regard. How did you pull it off?
Well, easily. The lawyers approached me sometime in September, not just as somebody who is at the forefront of the advocacy, but also as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S representative at the Federal House. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S from Umuahia North. I'm also from Umuahia North. We grew up together. We played soccer in Umuahia. So he's somebody well known. Both families are well known to each other. So it is my utmost responsibility as a Federal House member representing him to speak for him where no one else would speak for him. Not just for him, but for many others in that gap who may be facing one challenge or the other, especially in the administration of criminal justice as it pertains to Nigeria. So I've been speaking about him. We've started to make some headway. Previously, it was very combative between the government's approach and, of course, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S legal team's approach. So they approached me to say, well, for over a period of time, they've not had access to him. So I wrote to the director of DSS. He responded. Rather than escalate it, in the chamber of the House of Representatives, I chose to involve my speaker. And we had a tripartite meeting between myself, the speaker, and the DG SSS, and we resolved some of the issues, pending when the lawyers will come together, because the matter is still in court. The judge handling the matter was also involved in the process. But yesterday was the first time that the lawyers were given access to him at the directive of the DGSSS, whom I commend him tremendously. He has come to this position, a very difficult position, in handling a very sensitive issue. But he has come in this position also being mindful that the issue at hand is a very sensitive issue, and he's put in a human face
Well,
to wait.
forgive me if I beg to differ, but I mean, this is a democratic country, and in a democracy, somebody has the right to a legal defense team.
Of course.
In whatever circumstance
Well, I
they
thought as
find
much too.
themselves
I
in.
thought as much too.
So for all this sort of thank you and so on and so forth, I don't understand. It's his legal right, isn't it?
The legal issues, like I said in my earlier statement, that are well known to both parties, it stemmed from the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S legal team requesting for a recusal of the judge. So the judge, recall, recused herself. So the position of the DSS, or the position of the government, now becomes, well, since the judge has recused herself from the matter, there are no longer issues of consultation between the lawyers and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
Well, that's perverse.
However, even some of the applications that were made in court were withdrawn, because the same question would have been asked. Well, if the same judge has recused himself, and all the decisions of the judge, as the government had claimed, was a nullity, then the same judge was the one that gave the detention order for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So that ought to have rendered that also as
Null
a nullity.
and void.
Null and void.
But even beyond that, I mean, it doesn't matter what the circumstances are. It is his
fundamental right.
It is his legal right,
yes.
to ask for a judge to be recused if he feels that he's not getting
fair
the right
trials.
treatment. That does not preclude. It's got nothing to do with his right to have access to his lawyers.
I perfectly agree with you. That was the position we took. That was the position even in the meeting between myself, the speaker, and the DGSS. I took that position. Mr. Speaker concurred with that position. Even the DG concurred. Now, while I was saying thank you, the DG could have easily come to that meeting and feign ignorance of the law and say, no, well, let's status quo remain. Let's keep, going at each other. They will release one press statement. The Kanu lawyers will release one press statement. But he recognizes the position of the law and set aside the office of DSS, who could have come in as a cowboy. But he now said, no, I want things to be done properly. He gave the room to allow myself, the speaker, the lawyers of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to be engaged in this, finding a solution that will enable both sides at least to begin to talk and have access to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It's not just that. There were issues as well concerning the health of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It was rumored that he was dead. It was rumored that he was ill, which I also asked the DG. The DG, for the first time, they've never had it before, allowed Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to choose a doctor of his own choice, and at the same time allowed him to also to choose a medical facility beyond the government medical facilities for his treatment. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has exercised that privilege, and will continue as well to.
So he's now gone to the hospital.
Oh yeah, he's gone. The last time he went was, I think, October the 3rd.
Right.
And he confirmed it to me because part of my effort was also to see him, to discuss with him, to know his thought process as to everything that is going around, and also to brief him and to make him understand the circumstances around. And then he assured me that he's comfortable with the doctor that he chose. He's comfortable with the medical facility that he chose as well to go to. So on issues of access and issues of management of his health, I can say that this current DG of SSS has been very cordial, has been very respectful.
Much more so than the past. Right.
Much more than in the past. That was why I said he has shown a human face.
But in the larger scheme of things, how much does it move the needle forward in terms of getting Mr. Kanu closer to breathing the air of freedom?
Just, I can tell you, the whole lot of things have been done. not just by me, but well-meaning Nigerians, stakeholders, who have found this to be an issue of injustice, who has also found this to appear, like the last time I was there, I said it would appear that there are two sets of rules in Nigeria, one for every other Nigerian and another one for the Igbo man. Where every other Nigerian will scale certain circumstances, the Igbo man will find it very difficult to scale. But that what we thought would have been more meaningful is the invocation of sections 174 of the Nigerian Constitution that allows the Attorney General, before the determination or a judgment of the court, that he can write to withdraw the matter. There are precedents that have already been set on this. So we're just asking, well, the way they have done for Igbo, the way they have done for Sowore and many others, that Nnamdi Kanu is entitled to those fundamental rights as a citizen.
Well, you mentioned Section 174 of the Nigerian Constitution. I recall that in June, you made a direct appeal to President Tinubu, along with dozens of your colleagues at the National Assembly, urging him to order the Attorney General to discontinue the case based on that Section 174, which gives him the power to end the trial in the public interest and in the interest of justice. Did you ever hear back from the President or the Attorney General?
Like I said, we've met with the Attorney General. I've met with him several times. I've met with his Chief of Staff of Mr. President and many other government functionaries. The only person I have not met one-on-one now is Mr. President. And for obvious reasons, he has to be satisfied with the legal position and also satisfied with the security positions. So I wish to talk so much, but so much has been happening now. The confidentiality of that is also what I said as a government officer.
You can't reveal.
That I can't reveal, I can't, but I am very optimistic that after all said and done, recently my governor, my amiable governor, Dr. Alex Oti, also talked about it, having met Mr. President, and some assurances that were given to my governor by Mr. President. Those assurances that have been given to my governor remain consistent with the assurances also that I have been given and the things that I have worked with certain circle that have been put up for this. And I'm very optimistic that within no short distance time, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be released from detention. Whether he's going to be released by the invocation of Section 174, or whether he's going to be granted bail, the Supreme Court, after all, said that the lower court ought not to have revoked his bail, considering the circumstances that he faced before he absconded, meaning the military came to his home, ransacked his home, and he escaped. Possibly, if he was there, he would have been shot dead, just like many others. The Supreme Court held that under the circumstances, his actions of running away was justifiable. That's what the Supreme Court said. So that since they have already said that he cannot be denied bail, it is also our desire that if bail can be granted to him, I am willing, able to countersign that bail so that he can have the ability to leave detention, at least to be able to take care of himself, see his family, and undertake other activities that such a person should.
And in terms of the case against him, the last we heard he was facing 7 counts of terrorism, which he denies, as well as belonging to a prescribed organization, which is IPOB. Is that still the case against him?
Yeah, those are the current charges. They have not added more charges.
Because you never know these things.
You never know these things. These things are very dynamic.
They change, yeah.
But however, the question we ought to be able to ask is, Nnamdi Kanu legally in Nigeria? The answer is no. The rendition that brought him to Nigeria was said, but it was illegal. That's what the Supreme Court said. It was illegal. Charles, the measure, they can try all they want to do, but they cannot try to convict Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because if you convict him based on that, then the position of the Supreme Court it will be much more fatal in terms of the Supreme Court has said, well, you shouldn't have brought him here in the first instance. There are legal processes that ought to have happened between the Nigerian state and Kenya for Nigeria to seek extradition of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S rather than going over there, forcefully kidnapping him and bringing him back to Nigeria. But I think since there's a precedent, that the most important thing that the Nigerian state ought to be able to do now is to seek a political solution that will end this nightmare for everybody, and end this frustration for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S, bring about peace and stability in the Southeast, and peace and stability in Nigeria at all.
I was going to say you took the words right out of my mouth, because I was going to say that your consistent argument, which you have made stridently, and which you made in that letter that you wrote to President Tinubu, is that you are fairly certain that Nnamdi Kanu's freedom will not only calm the fraught security situation in the southeast, and indeed elsewhere in the country, but will lead to an economic renaissance,
of course,
which will boost the image of President Tinubu in the southeast and beyond amongst a sizable portion
not just the image of President Tinubu, also boost the image of the southeast. The southeast are very industrious people. We're very peaceful by nature. Our disposition is built on a specific character that talks about that you have a right, fundamental right to exist, and we also have a fundamental right to exist. After all, there are no more tribe in Nigeria that is more nationalistic than the Igbo man. You go anywhere in the country, you see brick and mortar, permanent fixtures, means that those people have identified those places as a place they can live, as a place they can raise their families, and it's a place they can work. Unlike most other Nigerians who even come to Igbo land, their presence in the Southeast is more transitional, meaning they come for one specific thing. Once that is done, they move on. But Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S, like I said, in my private visit, in his utterances, both in court, have said that he believes in the economic development of the Southeast. And President Tinubu, having signed the Southeast Development Commission, it's a good start for the rehabilitation and reconstruction of the Southeast post-Civil War. Nobody is against that. Nnamdi Kanu has called for an economic renaissance that will tie every state to work together for the common good, not just of the Southeast. If the Southeast is fixed, less crime, less hopelessness and not enough opportunity, every other person will come to the Southeast to participate in the economic activities there. He has also renounced violence. He has also renounced Monday sit-at-homes that have ravaged the economic activities of the Southeast. And he has also renounced the high level of crime and criminality, banditry and assassination that are prevalent in the Southeast as you speak. Christmas time is coming. How many people are willing to go home this Christmas time? More afraid of high crimes and criminality. If we take Nnamdi Kanu out of this factor, we will now know those who are responsible for the high crimes and criminality in the Southeast, because they are now benefiting from the economics of high crime. So it will take some time, but the first step to that taking time is to be able to get Mazi Nnamdi Kanu out to freedom.
Beyond the points that you made so eloquently and clearly there, how much does this raise questions for you as a lawmaker in Nigeria about the respect that this country's rulers, if you like, have for the judiciary? Well, because there seems to be, I mean, the repeated case, orders of court and so on and so forth.
They have been violated by the state.
Just completely,
in the past, they have been violated
ignored
by the state and been ignored by the state. So where lie the moral obligation or responsibility of the state to continue to detain Mazi Nnamdi Kanu?
But does that drive you more beyond Nnamdi Kanu? Because I mean, this is a case of simply the arms of government and
Respecting each
which
other.
one, absolutely, which one has, preeminence over the other. I mean, does that make you as a lawmaker say, we've got to do something?
It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating, like I
Yeah.
just said to you as well. It's very frustrating, but, you have to keep moving. I wake up every single day thinking more. What do I have to do more to ensure that my constituent, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S, is free? He is my primary responsibility, not just him, but many others in that gap. And I'm speaking for every issue that concerns injustice. Now, it's frustrating. In the management of the administration of criminal justice, it doesn't swing in one direction, just like many others have swung in that direction, where many people who were charged in the same way they charged Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S for treasonable offenses have all themselves been at the determination of the court, and rightfully so. I'm not saying that is wrong.
Obviously, there are different circumstances.
But there's different
let's face
circumstances.
it,
But
yeah.
at the determination of the court said to let them go. So why do you continue to keep Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S? And I've said it can be just the ethnic colorations or tribal colorations or religious colorations, but there are people who are satisfied in allowing him to be there to rot to death.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Omoyele Sowore, for example, I mean, he wasn't leading, although he called for revolution now and so on, but he wasn't leading a separatist movement of armed people who were going out and sort of attacking.
Isn't Nnamdi leading an armed group? The question is no. The question is no, Charles. Absolutely. Is he leading an armed group?
No, you mean now?
Even then and now.
Yeah, well, the government says that he was.
That's what the government says. Has the government been able to prove it?
And they link the organization.
Has the government been able to prove it, Charles?
Well, the case isn't over
yet. They've not been able to prove it.
They link what his organization.
I can agree with you. I can agree with you, Charles. Let me tell you this, because just like when I went to visit President Buhari, I said to President Buhari that I'm sorry for every, unpleasant utterances that my brother may have made against you, because one, you are the president, he's not. You're an elder statesman, he's not. So we still are Africans. We have respect for elders. There are certain ways that you can talk to your age mate, and there are also ways that you should not talk to your elders. So to the extent that some of his utterances may have been found wanting, so I'm here to say I am sorry. It is the responsibility of a father to smack a child and then use the other hand to bring it back.
And he said to you, up your nose with a
No, he didn't say that. But this is what he said. After I spent almost 2.5 hours with him.
Right.
After the discussions, he says, son, for your humility and the manner that you've approaching this issue and that you've also come to me, I will not oppose any political solutions or ideas that would lead to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S release from detention.
But it didn't happen, did it?
It hasn't happened.
While he was
president. But is the work that was when he was. This was when he was out of being president. My recent visit. But he's a critical stakeholder.
Right.
He's a critical stakeholder that you would not.
Well, we've got about a minute or so left. Basically, beyond the very encouraging things you have said, which are sort of off the cuff, if you like, in terms of the sort of the face of it, you're no closer at this point to breaking the chains that continue to bind Nnamdi Kanu and to keep him firmly
we're very close
under lock and key.
No, we're very close.
No, I understand what you mean, that you're close, but that is something that's taking place behind the scenes.
I'm also trying to maintain, as a government officer, to maintain
that's what I mean.
A cloak of secrecy,
right?
Confidentiality.
But your confidence has grown.
But my confidence, if we were just as minute as it was,
right
now my confidence is grown. The government, at least, is engaging, unlike previously where they didn't want to engage. Now we are talking. Now, when we raise objections about this and that, they are helping us to move the needle and to move the gauge and everything more further. But I believe that in the nearest or shortest possible time, as my governor recently said, Nnamdi Kanu will be free. The Southeast will be free from high crimes and criminality, banditry and assassinations that are now commonplace. The Southeasterners can now go home to do their businesses, to see their families, and be more engaging. So the government has given us an opportunity to now engage. And I'm taking every possible time to ensure that we do that.
And on that optimistic note, I want to thank you very much indeed for coming in to share that very important piece of information with us. Honorable Hon Aguocha is a member of the National Assembly, the House of Representatives, and he represents the Ikwano Umahia Federal Constituency. Great to see you again.
Good to see you,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ndị banye kwadoro dị nenu wee na-esoyere anyị dịka unu nene ya bụ ihe nke anyị tinyere n'iru akwụkwọ n'ụbọchị uhuruchi nke taa. Onye nọ ife nwanne nwoke bụ Honorable Hon Aguocha kwuru n'iru akwụkwọ n'ụbọchị nke taa. Ọ kọwagasị gbasara maka ya bụ one bụ quote ka anyị gụọ dịka o si dị. There are two set of rules in Nigeria, one for every Nigerian and other for Igbos. Quote, Aguocha. All right, concerning the injustice, ife na-eme and mkpagbu ife na-eme na ana Igbo, unu gee ntị. Ọ rụtara aka na Supreme Court bụ the highest court iwe na Nigeria kwuru okwu na Mazi Nnamdi Kanu ajọmpụrụ bail, that o were ife lead that bail ahụ ọ jọmpụ, that military invaded his house in order to kill him. He escaped for his life. Honorable House of Representative nke si for Umuahia bụ Honorable Hon Aguocha ife agokwu n'iru akwụkwọ. Then the now question is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu case different from Ndigbo? Is Mazi Nnamdi case different from Asari Dokubo? Is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu case different from Shore? Is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu case different from every other group? Metiala. Is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu case different? The answer is no. Then the question, why is Nigeria disobeying the rule of law over Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Well, there is a law that sets him free. That is the question. And the Saya Baju. Now, you're talking about fairness, equity, equal rights. Then the question, is there any equity in this? Is there any fairness in Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's trial? That is the second question. I want you people to help me answer it on the comment section below. Maka we fire abana eme obuli ife ọjọọ wee nye, obuli ife mkpagbu wee nye. Ịghọta ife Mazi Nnamdi Kanu na-azọ bụ ọdịm na mma ụmụ Igbo ka esi dịrị ụmụ Igbo na mma. I think in any agitation there's something that costs it. One, immaterialization. Two, obodo adịrọ mma. Based on there is no hospital and there is no road ọbụla. Be fake also. And that is the primary request for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. But instead of to call him to negotiation, federal government I mean kebu chefa. No violence now akwono nanga. Is Biafra agitation stop? The answer is no. So it's time federal government of Nigeria need to call themselves in order and rethink their step on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Ogwunako ham n'ọnụ ka ifiche ngị bụ onye mụ na-ege ntị gbasịta maka ya bụ ife ịnụgasị n'iru akwụkwọ ife nwanne nwoke kwuru n'iru akwụkwọ. Drọpụra ife iche n'ụdị nke gị na comment section below. Ka emesịa